Today we came out with Rocky Mountain Power and the interim superintendent for Salt Lake City Schools, Larry Madden. They announced that the schools will not be opening tomorrow, not until Monday will we finally have that first day of school. Rocky Mountain Power talked about the power coming back on hopefully by the end of the day for all of the residents who still don't have power connected. And the difference in circuitry where half of a street could be on one circuit or one side of the street and the other half could be off, and how confusing that is. But they're working as fast as they can to turn on the most power for the most people, and that's the order of priority they're working through. I announced that I signed a 16th proclamation, I believe, today, emergency proclamation, that closes several of our city parks. We don't want to close the parks, but the tree situation is dangerous for people. It's not just the fallen trees, it's trees that have been loosened, and some of them have fallen trees leaning on them. They could come down at any moment, so we need the public, for their own safety, to stay out of these particular parks until we're able to lift that restriction, and also to give our crews the space that they need to do that work. So we're asking people to keep their private tree debris off of the streets for now. We'll have a plan by this weekend, and the city will be helping residents to take care of debris from private trees. We're still putting together how that happens because it's not something we normally do, but we want our residents across the city to have the support they need to put this back together.
We understand that this is a big hardship for people, and we're working very hard. These were hurricane strength winds that came through, and as we've all seen across the country, hurricanes often take weeks, as the mayor mentioned, to get everything back in order. To be getting this close within 72 hours really is a testament to the preparation of the power company. Even the work that the State Commission has done to help put us in a position to be able to have the crews, the materials, and the response time to be able to get this within about 72 hours for most customers. We do have some crews that have come in from our sister companies. We have crews from Mid-American in Iowa that came in. They're out this morning in Rose Park doing some work. They've been out. Tree crews were there in Rose Park yesterday. We also have crews from the Reno-Carson area from our sister company, NV Energy. They came in this morning as well, and they're out getting work done too. Right now, as we do this final push for today, the last 2 days have been about fixing the backbone. They've been about fixing the transmission, fixing the substations, getting a lot of the trees and debris cleared, and now we're able to go in and do these one-by-one reconnections and get folks back on. There have been some questions about how we prioritize. We try to bring the most people on as we can with each restoration effort and move out. But there are crews all across the valley, all across the impacted area, across several counties, and they're working hard. We do really appreciate the patience we've seen, and we've seen so much goodwill out in the community, a lot of folks coming out and saying hello to our crews. Again, we want people to stay safe, say hello from a distance. We're still trying to respect the social distancing, and there still are some lines that are down. So please respect those crews as they're out in the field. Another question that has come up, there's sometimes a difference between when a line comes down, whether it's damage to the home that needs to be repaired by the homeowner, and things that are the responsibility of the power company. If you have a question about that, call in. Our customer service folks can help you work that out, and then you're able to go out and get an electrician to come out, fix the things that are your responsibility on the home, and then the power company can come in and get that restored. The last thing is just a reminder, we have to know from you if you have an outage. So it's so important that everybody who's out, call in. And if you're taking care of people, or if you know of people who are maybe a little bit vulnerable, find out if their outage has been reported. That's the way that we track these things. And even though your neighbor might be on, or you think that somebody else in the neighborhood has done it, report that outage and we can get out there. Really appreciate the work that the city's done to remove trees, get out there and get the roads cleared. That's been huge. We appreciate all the cooperation of everybody across the city, and we appreciate your patience as we make this final push. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Larry Madden, Interim Superintendent of Salt Lake City School District. I was going to tell you first off why we're here, and I was going to tell you that that's because the power's off here at Emerson, but then I noticed that the sign is lit up. So it must have just come back on recently, but I think it speaks to how fast things are changing. As many of you know, the Salt Lake City School District was scheduled to start on Tuesday, and due to the severity of the storm Monday night, the resulting power outages, we faced another 3 days of delays. After thoughtful consultation with district leadership and consideration of all of our families, I'm here to announce one more day of delay. We will not have school tomorrow, and will instead start the school year on Monday, September 14th. We're grateful to Rocky Mountain Power crews for how diligently they've worked this week to restore power throughout our city and district. The impacts of the storm have been more severe than we anticipated, and thousands of people in Salt Lake City are still without power right now. Based on the latest information from Rocky Mountain Power, we made the decision to delay the start. We know this will be disappointing news to many who are anxious to start the school year. We are too. Can't wait to get back in classrooms. But to start tomorrow when so many people across the district are still without power is not the right decision. I want to offer my deepest apologies to our students and families, our employees, and all those that have been impacted by the decisions this week. I know many teachers and students were already online Tuesday and today when they received word of school cancellations, and we're grateful for their patience and send our apologies out to them. We know the day-to-day uncertainty has added additional stress to all, and we hope that the knowledge that school will be delayed until Monday will help families across the city get through the rest of the week while recovering from the impacts of the storm. Even if every family had electricity now, we know there are still a lot of families without internet access and dealing with loss of and destruction of property. And we hope this additional time will help our families, students, and employees be ready for a start on Monday. Thank you.
We're happy to take questions if you have any for the three of us.
Do you have a list of those parks that are officially closed?
Yes. Want me to read it again?
Yeah, if you could. That'd be great.
Liberty,
Okay.
Fairmont,
Okay.
Sunnyside, Jordan, Lindsay Gardens, Richmond, Riverside,
Okay.
Washington Square, and the Salt Lake City Cemetery.
Okay, thank you.
And how long will the parks be out or be closed?
It's indefinite right now. We don't want to close our parks. We want to reopen them very much. So as soon as our crews clear through the dangerous trees and nearly downed trees, we will open them as soon as possible.
Does that go for golf courses as well?
No, it's just specific to these parks.
Okay.
But of course, if anyone sees a loosened tree, that's as dangerous or more dangerous than a fallen tree at this point. So surely there are damaged trees everywhere. We just caution people to take the utmost care. Don't let your kids climb on them.
When you think about the value of the trees when it comes to cooling the city, cleaning the air in the city.
You're talking to the Lorax here.
So as the Lorax, is there, how ready are we to begin to replace some of these? I mean, I guess how long do you think it will take realistically for a city to replace 1,000 trees?
It's a great year to ask because our urban forestry division has done more this year than we've asked or empowered them to do in at least a decade. We are doubling the number of trees that we plant this year. Normally we plant about 1,000, but we lose about 1,000 to disease and storms. This year, if you assume that we're going to lose 1,000, and we have this storm that takes out an additional couple thousand trees, we're going to have a hard time breaking even. But it's the first time that we're planting a real surplus. We were going to grow our urban forest. So we plant 1,000, as I said. We're on track to plant an additional 1,000 on our city's west side. We planted the first 500 in the spring, and we're preparing to plant the second 500 this fall. So our urban forestry is absolutely capable of doing amazing work. They've increased their work by 100% without that kind of personnel resources. And I know that their passion for trees, my passion for trees, but really our residents' passion to grow our urban forest is plenty strong. So we will grow back. But we've lost trees that are 60 to 100 years old, some even older than that. And our city will not look the same for the rest of my life. But the best time to plant a tree is 25 years ago, and the second best time is today. We're going to do everything we can to put trees in the ground as fast as possible.
Mayor Mendenhall, after the 1999 tornado, some of the damaged trees were repurposed and used throughout the city. I know it's still early, but any idea if that might happen to some of our historic trees?
Yes, we want to. There's a technical legal issue around the city disposing of public assets, which our public trees are. And so we're trying to figure out how to do that. There's definitely some beautiful ones that have come down. There's a sequoia that came down on Washington Square, and walnut trees, many other burled, beautiful trees. Our urban forestry is getting creative, and they're going to try to find ways to get some of these beautiful pieces of wood into the hands of more workers locally. But no secure plan on that just yet. We don't actually have a program to do it.
Why there would be seemingly some neighborhoods with half the houses on and half of them still out or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do
A
you
lot
look at
of
it?
a lot of people had questions about how we prioritize the restoration. I brought this map to kind of take a look. You can see that the winds came in from the east. They came over the mountains, and as they came down the canyons, the destruction was more severe along the east benches, but it did get all the way out into the west side. And then some of our most vulnerable people in some of the neighborhoods, especially over here on the west side, also received significant destruction to property. So what we do when it's time to start the restoration is first begin with things like hospitals, emergency infrastructure, things like that. We get those things back online, and then we start thinking about what is the best way to get the most people on at a time. So if there's a circuit that can bring on 10,000 people, they'll assign a crew to that. And then they begin with the substations and they work outward. Now, a lot of the circuits don't always match the city streets, so it's possible that your neighbor across the street could be on a different circuit. It could be restored. And so that's a frustration that happens. People look across the street, they say, my neighbors are on, why am I not on? And I recognize that that's frustrating, but make sure that you've reported the outage. If you haven't heard from anybody, go ahead and call in again, make sure that that's reported. And after that wind event, I should have known better, then that would tip over. But that's the way that this is. There's absolutely no regard to socioeconomic status when we make these decisions. I know there's some feeling, I've heard from every neighborhood in the city claiming that they're the last ones. And so I can tell you that there's absolutely no decision made to supply a certain neighborhood over another. There are significant impacts in different neighborhoods that require different kinds of responses. In some neighborhoods, it's more tree removal that's in the way, and other times it's lines and access. The neighborhoods have also aged in different ways, and so we've changed what kind of things we have. In some neighborhoods, restoration is not difficult because maybe some of the lines are undergrounded, or the poles and wires are newer, different things like that. Another thing that's important to know is we've been spending all year, as wildfires and things become more common in the West, we've amped up our efforts to make sure that our system is ready for wind events and fire. We've gone through, we've increased the amount of surveying the lines that we do. We use drones, we use other ways to kind of make sure that everything's clear. But then when it comes time to do the restoration, we try to get the most people on, and then we move our way out. As you can see, most of the outages are on the east side, on the east bench, and so we do have a lot of crews there, but we're simultaneously working all across the city.
And how current is that map?
That, I think, was from about 4 hours ago. So we have about 60,000 customers still out.